Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm going to talk to you a little bit about whether you should or shouldn't share other people's content on social media. The reason I wanted to discuss this is because I tend to take a little bit of a different approach to most people when it comes to sharing content. Now, as with everything, there's not a rule book or a right way. You've got to find what's right for you. The best I can do is explain my approach, why I've taken that approach. Also look at the alternatives, and hopefully that will give you the information you need to make an informed decision as to your sharing strategy on social. So most people adopt the philosophy that sharing is caring. Is good to share other people's content. I tend to be an incredibly selfish marketer when it comes to sharing content on social media. I very rarely do it. And when I do, it's always on Twitter. So about 95+% of my content is my own at all times. Now, there's a few reasons why I take that approach. The first one is that when people follow you, and I'm going to talk more about Twitter because that's where I do it most, but this applies to every platform. When somebody follows or likes or engages with your brand or is interested in connecting with you, they have to have a unique reason to visit and a unique reason to stay. Otherwise, why would they bother? Right? If they can get the same stuff everywhere else, if you're constantly sharing an influencer's post, for example, why not just follow the influencer? Because that's the message they're hearing and that's the message that they're interested in, right? As businesses, we have to establish our own core message, and we want to really resonate with that because it's that core message that we're using to turn a connection into a paying customer, and we're trying to take them on a customer journey. Now, if you dilute that message with other people's messages, it can be a little bit confusing, and it can harm the point you're trying to get across, right? People have a unique reason to visit you and a unique reason to stay engaged with you. And again, that core message, it comes from within. What do you stand for? Why should people connect with you? That's unique. And so for me, I don't want to dilute that message. I want people to be able to, that do connect with me, have a very solid understanding of who I am, what I represent, who I can help, how I can help, and what I'm all about. I don't want to dilute that with other people's content. Yes, it's very selfish in a lot of ways. At the same time, all businesses were on social media to, in some way, make money, right? And so in order to make that happen, you have to have a very clear message, and it has to tie to your value proposition. I think this is part of the reason that businesses struggle to make those sales. Now, the second reason is that if you just share everybody else's content, it takes away some of the value from it, because you do see friends just sharing content because it's your friend. And while that's lovely and you're a wonderful person for doing it, your job is to serve your customers in the very best way you can. So if you're sharing a piece of content that is totally irrelevant, then you lose credibility with that, and you lose that opportunity to build a relationship because they're disinterested in that, and you've just disrupted them with whatever this is. They don't know, they're not interested, that's not why they follow you, right? So that's the other reason. When I share content, I share it natively, so I tend to share it where it's not going to interrupt them. They don't have to click out. It's going to show in their newsfeed. I'm going to try and curate it where possible so that people know how it is relevant to them. But the other thing is, because I do it so sparingly, I would hope that when I do share content, people know that it truly is something that I believe in, that I think is of value to them, and I connect with from my heart, and that can be passed on. Because I do it very few times, when I do share other people's content, it should have more meaning. That's the intention behind it. Now, the other reason that I don't share a lot of people's content is that they tend to post links to their websites and their blogs and their YouTube channels and all over the interwebs. And while that's wonderful for them sharing their core message, when you share a link with your community, you are asking them to take an action. That is a call to action in itself, in my own opinion. You're asking them to click a link, come out of the platform they were spending time and enjoying time on to go and check out someone's stuff. Now, if you were going to ask them to do that, that's a big deal, right? You're asking them for something. And so you have to earn the right to do that. But also, if you're going to do it, make it count. You don't get that many chances to promote and sell and have those solid call to actions going out on social media. So when you do hit them with them, you've got to make them count. So you best believe if I'm sharing a link, it's going to be to my own content. I do not want them to go to someone else's site where one, I lose them, right? They're going to somebody else's site. I've just lost track of them and their interest. They're no longer in the platform, so my chance of getting a conversation out of them is very minimal. Now, that is fine if they're on my website, because hopefully I'll have set my website up for conversion so that I can continue that conversation through an email sign up or whatever. But if they're going to someone else's content, you've lost them. You've literally distracted them from what you're trying to achieve. And so that's why I really do not share very much content. One, I think that it's important to share your core message and give people a unique reason to follow and a unique reason to stay. I think it's good to keep people in the platform and share other people's content, but it's really, really important to curate it rather than just aggregate it, because people don't know that person that you're sharing content from. You have to make the connection by sharing a message that is relevant to them. And if you're going to make a call to action, that's a big deal. I think we undervalue sometimes our community and what we're asking them to do. We think if we're not directly asking them for a sale, then it doesn't count. Of course it counts. If you're asking anybody to do anything, it counts and it means a huge amount. So if I'm going to ask you to do something, then I'm going to do it because I think it's of value to you and that you will get something out of it. And it's got to have meaning. I'm not just going to ask you to click a link for the sake of it. And the fourth reason is you don't want to distract people by going down the route of other places. We all have goldfish brain. We don't need any more of that. So that is why I don't share a huge amount of other people's content. With that being said, it doesn't mean I don't engage, doesn't mean I don't pay attention, and it doesn't mean I don't share content, especially on an individual. I share a lot of individual blog posts with individual people because they're coming to me with a problem and I don't have a solution, but I know someone who does. So it doesn't mean that I'm not paying attention to that. I'm just trying to be a little bit more strategic and think about the customer journey and how I can take them from, random connection, maybe not even a connection, and guide them through to that place where I want them to be, which is a paying customer. Let's be honest, most of us are thinking that. And so I think that that's something to consider. With that being said, there's some wonderful curators of content. Mary Smith always comes to mind. I think she doesn't actually create a huge amount of unique content herself, but she is an absolute genius in bringing all of these facts and figures and Facebook knowledge that none of us understand and making it really easy for us to consume and take action on. So her unique reason to visit and stay and her unique value proposition is the way that she has curated it and brought it in. Now, if you can do that, it's another wonderful strategy that you can use and adopt. And it works because, again, she's adding so much of her own value. She's taking other people's content and turning it into something. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of research, and it's not right for everyone, but it's an alternative approach to the one I take. Of course, you can also mix it up. What I would say if you mix it up is just to, draw again back to that point of, you can share other people's content, but try not to just share it for the sake of it. Share it because you know that it's of value to your audience, right? It's got to be valuable, and it's got to be relevant, and it's got to tie into your core message. Otherwise, you're diluting your brand, you're diluting everything that you're trying to achieve on social media, and you're potentially sending customers to other people and losing out by yourself. And so it's something to consider. I know that this is a long question. I know that some people will disagree with me. I actually would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, because I think it's an interesting discussion point. As I said, I don't believe there's a right or a wrong way. This is my approach to this, but I would love to hear yours. Never forget, I hope it's valuable. Never forget that you have the power to change the world, one connection and one conversation at a time. If you enjoyed this video, you can see how often I forget to do this. I did it again. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing. That is my call to action to my content, if you find it valuable. Much love from my heart to yours. And hopefully we will have a conversation and speak very soon. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world.